Hi, I'm Robert Osborne. Last Monday on TCM, we premiered Chapter 1 of the 15-part documentary series, The Story of Film, an Odyssey. It covered the very beginnings of filmmaking in 1895 through the year 1917. Well, coming right up, we have Chapter 2 for you, and this one is subtitled The Triumph of American Film and the First of Its Rebels, which covers the years 1918 through 1928. And a little reminder here, every Monday through December 9th, we're going to have an all-new installment in the series, and each of those episodes are going to be surrounded by movies that are talked about in that particular segment. And joining me right now, as he will be every Monday night through December 9th, is the man behind the documentary, film historian Mark Cousins. Welcome back, Mark.
Thank you, Robert. Nice to be here.
Now, these years that we're going to cover, this is really the apex of silent filmmaking.
Yes.
What was so different about what was going on in Hollywood at that time and in Europe?
This is when Hollywood became Hollywood. You know, before this period, Hollywood was still like a garden.
Right.
Yeah, but it really became a factory in this moment. And that was really exciting. This was when film started to turn into a well-oiled machine. Mm-hmm. And the beauty of the machine and the different types of filmmakers that came out of that. So that was new. But already...
So now they're really a competition of the European filmmakers.
Yes,
at this
of course,
point, right?
World War I had happened. Europe had been devastated.
Right.
So those film industries in France and Scandinavia, which had led the way, they were flattened, really. Mm-hmm. So suddenly Hollywood bloomed. This fertile land of Hollywood started to produce great filmmakers and attract great filmmakers. And not only, sometimes when we talk about an industry, it sounds, as you know, like it's a very mechanical type of film. But as we know, Chaplin came along in these days, the great improviser, the great jazz musician, you could say, of cinema came along. And then also in these years, the great incredible rebel filmmakers who, like Stroheim, mm-hmm. who were doing films like Greed, ultra-realistic.
Between them here,
yes,
in Hollywood.
Yeah, yes, and ultra-realistic, challenging the conventional way of making movies. So already in the movie history, you've got this beautiful tension between like entertainment cinema and people who wanted movies to be more spiky or edgy or relevant or soul-searching. That tension, I think, has remained through movie history, and it's in this period that it first emerges.
How do Europeans feel about that, the European filmmakers?
Back then, they loved it. You know, Hollywood was like a think tank. It was where youth and glamour was made. You know, Hollywood was creating new ideas about youth and glamour in those days, you know, and that was very exciting for anyone, and it was a totally international idea.
We also have to point out that in the silent screen days, you know, films were more international than they could be when sound came in.
Absolutely.
When soundtracks then affected it, because all they had to do is put the title cards
yes.
in their own language,
yeah.
and it was a movie that anybody in any country could understand.
Absolutely. When sound came along, film was grounded more. It became more of a social thing. But
right.
in the silent period, it was almost like a magic carpet ride. It was floating, you know. And so Douglas Fairbanks and Greta Garbo weren't really rooted in one country. We
right.
couldn't say there's an American, there's a Swede.
International.
They were international. Stroheim and Chaplin and these great directors and the great women directors as
yeah.
well, and Keaton, etc. These people they were coming up, they were inventing an art form. How exciting.
Yeah.
That's why it's so thrilling to see this period in
yeah.
film history.
Well, let's jump right into it. Here, first shown on British television in 2011, we bring you the U.S. television premiere of Chapter 2 in The Story of Film, an Odyssey, subtitled The Triumph of American Film and the First of Its Rebels.